Every morning, the sun rises for over 8 billion people. But do you know how many truly use that gift of time? I've met thousands. Dreamers, thinkers, builders, and also those who are lost. They ask me, how did you do it, Jack? How did you go from failing in school, rejected by 30 companies, to building a global empire? And I tell them it wasn't magic. It wasn't genius. It was my routine. It was what I did when no one was watching. It was waking up when my body wanted to sleep. Reading when others were scrolling. Planning when others were complaining. Working when I was afraid. Reflecting when I failed. And repeating it all every single day. Success is not about one big moment. Not the investment. Not the launch. Not the applause. It is about the things you repeat again and again, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one says, thank you. People admire the life you build, but they forget the discipline behind it. They see the company, the speeches, the headlines, but they don't see the man waking up before sunrise, the silence before the first meeting, the daily war with distraction, the decision to choose growth over comfort every hour. And that's why I say, if you want to change your future, you don't start with a goal. You start with your routine, because your routine is your real resume. It's your quiet promise to the person you want to become. It's easy to wish. It's harder to wake up and do the same small, powerful things, day after day, when there's no spotlight. But let me tell you, that's where the real transformation happens. Not when you get a promotion, not when the money comes in, not when the world finally claps. It begins the moment you decide, today, I will live differently. And that difference is your routine. So now let me take you inside the exact steps I followed. Not theory, not borrowed wisdom. Real daily actions that help me turn failure into fuel and dreams into direction. 1. The 5 a.m. advantage, wake before the world. I always say, your future doesn't start next year. It doesn't start when you launch a business. It doesn't even start when you make your first million. It starts when you wake up. And for me, the day begins at 5 a.m. Not because I want to impress anyone. Not because I'm trying to be part of the 5 a.m. club. Not because I want people to say, wow, he's disciplined. No. I wake up at 5 a.m. because it's the only time I feel truly ahead of the world. When you wake up early. Before the traffic begins. Before the emails come in. Before your phone starts vibrating with demands. You enter a rare window of opportunity. It's silent. It's still. It's sacred. I call it the hour of clarity. In those early hours, the mind is not yet cluttered. The doubts haven't crept in. The opinions of others haven't shaped your mood. It's just you, your thoughts, and your intentions. And that is a powerful place to be. During the day, we live reactively. We're answering. We're replying. We're responding. But at 5 a.m., you live proactively. You're not catching up. You're setting the tone. You're not fighting fires. You're creating vision. When I first started waking early, I noticed something strange. I wasn't just more productive. I was more peaceful. I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel overwhelmed. I felt anchored. That one decision, to wake early, became the foundation for every other success in my life. Because once you control your morning, you start believing you can control everything. What do I do in those early hours? I drink warm water. It sounds simple, but it grounds me. Then I sit, not on my phone, not on my laptop, just with my thoughts. I ask myself, what am I grateful for? What matters today? What must I not forget? Even when the world becomes loud again. Most people wake up and rush into chaos. They grab their phone. They check messages. They scroll social media. And they wonder why they feel anxious, distracted, disconnected. The first hour of your day is your compass. If you hand it over to the world, don't be surprised when you end up somewhere you didn't intend to go. When I was building Alibaba, there was chaos everywhere. Investors doubted me. Competitors were stronger. The media laughed at us. But every morning, I had 60 minutes of peace. 60 minutes that reminded me why I started. 60 minutes that no one could take away. In those minutes, I wasn't the failed teacher. I wasn't the guy rejected from 30 jobs. I was a creator. A leader, a man with a mission. That's what the early hours gave me. Not just time, but identity. And once you begin your day with purpose, the rest of the world can't take that away from you. Let me be honest, it's not easy at first. The bed is warm. The room is dark. Your body tells you, sleep just 10 more minutes. But success is not about comfort. It's about consistency. And the secret is not in waking up early once. It's in doing it again and again until it becomes normal, until 5 a.m. feels like home. Now, I don't need an alarm clock. My mission wakes me up. And you don't need to be perfect. Some mornings I move slower. Some mornings I just sit in silence longer than usual. But I still show up. Because when you win the morning, you begin to win your mind. And once you win your mind, nothing can stop you. People always tell me they don't have time. I understand. Life is busy. But time is not something you find. It's something you protect. And the best time to protect is early. Before the world claims your attention. Before the noise arrives. Before your doubts wake up and start whispering that you're not good enough. 5 a.m. is not about being an early bird. It's about being intentional. About taking control. It's not about showing the world that you wake up early. It's about showing yourself that you are in control. The silence of the morning, that is your training ground. That is where discipline is born. That is where purpose is remembered. I've met people who don't believe in early mornings, but I've never met a successful person who wastes them. Tomorrow, when your alarm rings, don't hit snooze. Don't negotiate with your potential. Wake up, drink water, sit still, read, reflect, plan, decide. Decide to stop living by accident. Decide to start living by design. Because 5 a.m. isn't just a time. It's a mindset. It's a statement. It's a declaration that you are no longer waiting on success. You are waking up to it. 2. Read, reflect, recharge 30 minutes for the mind. You know what changed my life? It wasn't just a big meeting. It wasn't just $1 billion investment. It was the quiet habit of reading every single day. You see, in a fast world, reading slows you down in the best way. It's not just about collecting information. It's about sharpening your thinking. It's about learning how others failed and how they rose again. I don't read to impress. I don't read to show off a library of books. I read because every day I wake up and I know there's still so much I don't know. And that mindset keeps me humble, keeps me hungry, keeps me moving. People always ask me, Jack, how did you learn business? The truth is I never studied business in school, but I read. I studied people, I studied patterns, I studied pain, I studied leadership. I studied how ordinary people became extraordinary because they refused to stop learning. So here's what I do. Every morning, after I wake up, I give myself at least 30 minutes. Just 30. And I treat those 30 minutes as the most important meeting of my day. Why? Because it's a meeting with myself, with my growth, with my future. Sometimes I read a book. Sometimes I read one chapter. Sometimes just a few pages. But I never miss it. Because it's not about speed. It's about depth. It's not about how much you read. It's about how much you absorb. And after I read, I don't move on to the next thing right away. I reflect. This is a step most people skip. They consume information all day, but they never stop to ask, what did I learn? What did this teach me? What can I apply from this today? I write down one idea. Just one. One thing I want to carry with me into my day. That could be a quote, a mindset, a lesson, a warning. Because reading without reflection is like eating without digesting. It passes through you, but it doesn't change you. Now let me say this. You don't need to read what everyone else is reading. You don't need to follow the trend. Choose what grows you. It could be biographies. It could be leadership. It could be stories of people who lost everything, then rebuilt. It could even be about philosophy or spirituality. What matters is not the topic. What matters is that you feed your mind with intention. Because here's what I've seen. The mind is like soil. Whatever you plant in the morning will grow throughout the day. If you plant fear, fear grows. If you plant confusion, confusion grows. But if you plant wisdom, curiosity, a courage, that becomes your reality. So many people wake up and immediately open social media. They scroll. They compare. They see someone else's life and begin to feel behind. That's not reading. That's poison. That's anxiety disguised as information. But when you open a book, when you enter a world of timeless lessons, that's when the real growth begins. I believe 30 minutes a day of focused reading can do more for your career, your thinking, and your confidence than any degree ever could. Not because education isn't valuable, but because self-education never ends. Reading taught me how to speak. Reading taught me how to think bigger. Reading taught me how to deal with criticism. Reading taught me how to lead. Not just with power, but with principle. And here's the best part. That 30 minutes will affect everything else you do. You'll notice you speak with more clarity. You'll feel more centered in meetings. You'll respond instead of reacting. You'll find patterns in the chaos. Because now you've trained your mind to think deeper. And when people ask you, how do you stay so calm under pressure? You'll know the answer because you've spent time each morning training for the storm. Don't underestimate this. While others are running faster and faster, you will be rising higher and higher. Because you've done the internal work. You've planted the seeds. And now your decisions come from a place of depth, not just urgency. I always say the world rewards speed, but respects wisdom. Speed can make you money, but wisdom builds legacies. And where does that wisdom come from? From reading, from reflection, from the quiet discipline of learning even when no one is watching. So if you're serious about changing your life, don't wait for some perfect program or course. Start with 30 minutes. Start with a book. Start with one sentence. And then ask yourself, what did this teach me about life? What did this teach me about myself? What did this teach me about success? Do this every day. Protect it. Honor it. And I promise you in time, the world will notice. Not because you spoke louder, but because you thought deeper. 3. Plan 3 big wins, not 30 small tasks. Let me share something with you. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is that they confuse being busy with being effective. They wake up, look at a long to-do list, 15, 20, sometimes 30 tasks, emails to answer, calls to make, messages to send, meetings to attend. They cross one thing off, then another, and another, but at the end of the day, they feel empty. They were running all day, yet nothing meaningful moved forward. That is the trap of modern productivity. You feel busy, but you're stuck. You feel active, but you're not advancing. You're just surviving. That's why I changed my approach. Every single morning, I ask myself just one question. What are the 3 most important outcomes I need to achieve today? Not tasks, not busy work. Outcomes. 3 things. No more. No less. 3 wins that, if completed, would move me, my business, my vision, my team, forward. This small habit changed everything for me. Because when you have too many priorities, you have none. You can be the hardest worker in the room, but if your effort is scattered, your results will be too. Let me give you an example. Let's say today, I need to finalize a partnership deal. That's one outcome. I need to give feedback to a team that's struggling. That's number 2. And maybe I want to outline a plan for a future product idea. That's 3. Everything else, it can wait. It's not urgent, or it can be delegated, or it can simply disappear. Because it's not what matters most. This discipline forces me to focus. It makes me choose. And choosing is powerful because it tells your brain, these are the targets. Everything else is noise. We live in a world that rewards reaction. Respond quickly, jump in fast, multitask, reply, swipe, switch, scroll. But that's not how great things are built. Great things are built through depth, not distraction. When I sit down to work on one of my 3 priorities, I block out the rest. I close my email. I turn off notifications. I even silence my phone. Why? Because I've already decided. This is what matters today. This deserves my presence, not my fragmented attention. And here's the truth. When you operate this way, your output becomes sharper. You don't just complete things. You complete the right things. The things that actually push you toward your goals. The things that build momentum. The things that create impact. I've met people who work 12 hours a day and never grow. And I've met others who work 6 hours a day with ruthless focus. And they rise like rockets. The difference isn't time. It's clarity. Every minute you spend doing something that doesn't align with your top 3 is a minute taken away from your mission. This habit of choosing 3 big wins every day is also a test of courage. Because sometimes what matters most is also what feels hardest. That difficult conversation, that decision you've been avoiding, that project that forces you to think differently. But when you face it head on, first thing in the morning, you build momentum. You build confidence. You become lighter. Because now, instead of dragging 30 tasks all day, you've knocked out the real giants. People sometimes ask me, but Jack, what about the small things? Don't they matter too? Yes, they do. But they must never lead your day. You lead with the important. You follow with the urgent. If you start your day by checking boxes, you'll stay in the shallow end. But if you start your day with purpose, you'll dive into what really matters. So here's what I suggest. Every morning, take 5 minutes. Write down your top 3 outcomes, not your full task list. Just your 3 priorities. Tape them to your wall. Put them on your desk. Keep them in front of you. And when you feel lost, distracted, or tired, look at them again. Remind yourself this is what matters today. You don't need a perfect planner. You don't need 10 productivity apps. You don't need to attend a seminar. What you need is clarity. What you need is commitment. 3 wins a day, done consistently. That's 15 wins a week, 60 wins a month, over 700 wins a year. Can you imagine what your life would look like if you completed 700 meaningful outcomes a year? How far you would go, how much stronger you would be, how unstoppable you would feel. That's the power of simplicity. That's the power of focus. That's the power of saying, today, I will move forward. Not in 100 directions, but in 3 powerful ones. So tomorrow, before the noise begins, before the world pulls you in, before you scroll, swipe, or react, stop, breathe, think. And choose your 3 big wins. Make them bold. Make them meaningful. Make them count. Because success doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the essential things. Well, 4. Work without excuses, even when it's hard. You know what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's not intelligence. It's not background. It's not even resources. It's something simpler and tougher. It's the ability to show up, especially when you don't feel like it. When I was building Alibaba, I had many days I didn't feel motivated. I was tired. I was frustrated. I was afraid. There were days when everything seemed to go wrong. The deal fell through. The team was losing faith. The world was laughing at me. And do you know what I did on those days? I worked anyway. Because success isn't built on perfect conditions. It's built on consistent decisions. Motivation is nice, but it's unreliable. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some mornings you wake up inspired, ready to conquer. Other mornings, you feel stuck, cold, numb. And if you only move when it feels good, you'll never move far. That's why I don't rely on motivation. I rely on discipline. I don't ask myself, do I feel like it? I ask, did I promise myself this? Did I commit to this? Is this aligned with the future I want? If the answer is yes, I get up, no matter how I feel. People love talking about passion. But let me tell you something. Passion without discipline is just noise. The real game is played when no one is watching. When no one is cheering. When no one is clapping. It's in those quiet moments where you do the work and become the person. There were days I sat in front of the computer for 12 hours and didn't close a single deal. Days where every investor told me, no. Days when even my friends questioned me. But I kept working. Because I understood one thing. Success doesn't reward the strongest. It rewards the most stubborn. The one who keeps showing up. Keeps knocking. Keeps pushing. Not because it's easy, but because they made a choice. And that's the thing. You don't wait for courage. You build it. You build it by showing up when you're scared. You build it by working when you're exhausted. You build it by choosing action over excuses. Yes, you're tired. Yes, you've failed before. Yes, no one believes in you. So what? Get back up. Nobody promised this would be easy. They only promised it would be worth it, you see. We all have stories we tell ourselves. Stories like, I'm not ready. I don't have time. I don't know how. I'll try tomorrow. But let me ask you, how long will you keep telling those stories? How long will you let your fears dictate your future? Because the truth is, there will always be a reason to stop. Always. But success belongs to those who keep going anyway. I remember years ago, I got rejected by KFC. I was one of 24 applicants. 23 were hired. Only I was rejected. I was told I wasn't good enough. Again and again. But that never stopped me from working. Why? Because I wasn't working for approval. I was working for growth, for vision, for something bigger than my pride. You have to understand, the world doesn't owe you support. It doesn't owe you applause. It doesn't owe you understanding. But you owe yourself effort. You owe yourself action. You owe yourself the life you keep dreaming about. And that life will only come when you stop making excuses. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you've failed. It doesn't matter if no one else believes in you. What matters is, will you work anyway? Because champions are not made when things are going well. They are made in the storms. In the setbacks. In the moments when everything inside you says, quit. And you whisper back, no, not yet. I'm not done. You don't need to feel strong to take action. You just need to take action. And the strength will come. One step, one call, one task, one line of code, one chapter written, one customer served. Do it not for the result. Do it because this is who you are now. You are someone who shows up. You are someone who follows through. You are someone who honors your future with effort. So the next time your mind starts offering excuses, pause, smile, and get to work anyway. Because the most successful people in the world, they don't always feel like working, but they've trained themselves to work anyway. And that's why they win. 5. Saying no. The art of protecting your energy. When I was young, I thought success was about saying yes to everything, yes to every opportunity, yes to every meeting, yes to every favor, yes to everyone who asked for my time. But as I grew, and especially as Alibaba grew, I learned something more powerful, something most people don't realize until it's too late. Success is not built on how many things you say yes to. It's built on the discipline of saying no. You see, everyone wants your attention. Everyone wants a piece of your time, your energy, your mind, your focus. And if you don't guard it, you will give it away to things that don't move your life forward. In the beginning, I tried to be everywhere. I accepted every request. I joined every meeting. I wanted to be helpful, available, responsive. But eventually, I felt drained. Not because I was weak, but because I was scattered. You cannot do deep work when you're pulled in 100 directions. You cannot build something great when your time is consumed by things that are merely origin, but not important. So I made a decision from now on. I would protect my time the way I protect my health. I would say no more often. Even if it made people uncomfortable. Even if it felt awkward. Even if it meant disappointing others. Why? Because I realized something very important. Every time you say yes to something meaningless, you are saying no to something meaningful. Let me say that again. Every careless yes is a silent no to your goals, your peace, your family, your focus, your mission. You only have so much energy in a day, so much decision-making power, so much mental bandwidth. You can't give it all away and expect to build something that lasts. So I started doing this. Every time someone asked for my time, I would pause and ask, is this aligned with my vision? Is this going to help me or my team grow? Is this truly urgent or just noise? If the answer was no, I respectfully declined. Not rudely ego, but with clarity. You see, saying no isn't rejection. It's redirection. It's choosing your path instead of walking down someone else's. It's saying, I am committed to something greater and I won't be distracted by everything else. And the moment I started doing that, I felt stronger. lighter, clearer, because now I wasn't reacting to life. I was leading it. I wasn't driven by guilt. I was guided by purpose. Of course, not everyone understood. Some people thought I was arrogant. Some thought I was selfish. But over time, those same people began to respect me more because they saw what I was doing was not about avoiding responsibility. It was about honoring it. Leaders protect their focus. Creators protect their space. Winners protect their time. And if you don't learn to say no, your life will be filled with other people's priorities instead of your own progress. Now, I want to speak directly to you. If you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you're always busy, but nothing meaningful is getting done, if you feel like your time is being stolen by distractions and obligations, then maybe it's time to take control. Maybe it's time to learn the power of no. Say to gossip. Say no to drama. Say no to meetings with no purpose. Say no to social media scrolling that steals your morning. Say no. Say yes, just to be polite, because every no you speak from clarity is a yes to your growth, a yes to your vision, a yes to the life you actually want. I've learned that saying no doesn't close doors. It opens the right ones, the ones that align with your purpose, the ones that fuel your fire instead of draining it, the ones that move you forward instead of pulling you sideways. And here's something else to remember. When you say no to things that don't matter, you give others permission to do the same. You create a culture of focus. You show your team, your family, your peers, it's okay to protect your energy. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to say, this doesn't serve me, so I'm choosing something better. This is not selfish. This is self-leadership. And every strong leader, every high performer, knows this truth: you can do anything. But you cannot do everything. So choose wisely. Guard your time. Honor your priorities. And say no with confidence, not guilt. Because the person who learns to say no with intention becomes the person who creates space for something great to grow. And that person is who you're becoming. 6, end with reflection. The power of reviewing your day. You see, everyone talks about how to start your day. Wake up early, plan, execute. But very few people talk about how to end it. And let me tell you something, how you close your day is just as important as how you begin it. Because success isn't just about doing more. It's about becoming more. And that growth doesn't come from motion. It comes from reflection. Every night, before I sleep, I sit alone, not with a screen, not with notifications, but with my thoughts. And I ask myself some simple questions. What did I do well today? What did I learn? What can I improve tomorrow? This quiet moment, just 10 or 15 minutes, has done more for my success than any app, meeting, or to-do list ever could. Because in that moment, I'm not building a company. I'm not thinking like a CEO. I'm thinking like a student of life. A person who wants to grow. And growth doesn't come just from action. It comes from awareness. From understanding what worked and what didn't. People are always chasing the next thing, the next project, the next client, the next opportunity. But if you don't stop to reflect, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes. You'll keep running, but in circles. And running in circles is not progress. It's exhaustion. I remember early in my journey, I would go to bed with so many thoughts. Worries, regrets, confusion. I was doing so much during the day, but I never stopped to review. Then one night, I just sat down and asked myself, what did I actually achieve today? Not how busy I was, not how many emails I sent, but what really moved me forward. And the answer surprised me. Out of everything I did that day, only 2 things truly mattered. From that moment, I knew reflection is not a luxury. It's a tool. And if you want to grow, you must use it daily. Because when you reflect, you begin to notice patterns. You realize what drains you. You recognize who uplifts you. You start to understand what habits are helping you and which ones are quietly destroying your progress. Most people go to sleep full of stress, full of unfinished thoughts, full of emotional baggage they didn't process. But when you reflect, you release, you offload, you organize your mind, you give yourself closure. And when your mind feels clear, you sleep better. And when you sleep better, you wake up stronger. That's why I say success doesn't begin in the morning. It begins the night before. Every evening, ask yourself, what was my biggest win today? Where did I waste time? Who did I spend time with? And how did I feel afterward? Did I keep my promises to myself? Be not honest. Just honest. Reflection is not about blaming yourself. It's about guiding yourself. It's about being the teacher you never had. It's about holding yourself accountable. Not with punishment, but with purpose. Sometimes you'll reflect and feel proud. Other times, you'll feel disappointed. Both are valuable. Both are necessary. Because clarity grows in silence. Wisdom grows in review. Discipline grows in awareness. You cannot fix what you don't face. You cannot improve what you never analyze. And this small ritual, this 10 minutes of reflection, can change everything. Your focus, your habits, your direction. Let me give you a secret. Some of my best ideas didn't come from boardrooms or conferences. They came from these quiet evening reflections. They came when I slowed down and asked myself, what is really working? What is no longer worth my time? What needs to change if you want to grow fast? Yes, work hard. Yes, stay focused. Yes, plan in the morning. But if you want to grow wisely, then you must reflect at night. Because reflection isn't about slowing down. It's about sharpening. Sharpening your awareness. Sharpening your energy. Sharpening your intentions. Every successful person I know protects their evening routine because they know that final hour of the day determines the quality of the next one. So tonight, before you reach for your phony, before you get lost in distractions, sit down with yourself. No noise, no rush, just you and your thoughts. Ask yourself, what did I learn? What did I love? What can I leave behind? What do I want more of tomorrow? Then write it down. Even if it's one sentence. Even if it's messy. Even if it feels silly. Because when you write your thoughts, you shape your future. You're not just reacting to life anymore. You're learning from it. And when you learn from it, you grow beyond it. That's the real secret. You don't become successful from what you do once. You become successful from what you notice and repeat. And reflection shows you both. So end your day not with noise, not with guilt, not with stress, but with insight, with stillness, with truth. And that truth will be your power tomorrow. 7. Sleep like a billionaire, the final success habit. You know what's funny? When we talk about success, people always ask Meg, how many hours do you work? How many companies do you run? How many books do you read? But very few ask Meg, how do you sleep? And that's a shame, because sleep is the foundation of everything. I've met so many talented people who burned out. Not because they weren't smart, not because they weren't passionate, but because they didn't rest. They wore exhaustion like a badge of honor. They believed sleep was something to sacrifice instead of something to protect. But let me tell you, sleep is not laziness. It's leadership. When I was building Alibaba, I made a decision early on. I will protect my sleep like I protect my dreams. Not because I wanted comfort, but because I needed clarity. Because a tired mind cannot build a strong future. You can't think clearly when you're running on fumes. You can't lead people if you can't lead your energy. You can't make wise decisions when your body is screaming for rest. So I started studying sleep. I started paying attention. I stopped bragging about late nights and started honoring early rest. And guess what happened? My focus improved. My memory got sharper. My ideas became clearer. My decisions became faster. And most importantly, my mood changed. I became calmer, more patient, more visionary. You see, people think success is only built during the day, in the meetings, in the hustle, in the actions. But what you do before you sleep and while you sleep shapes how you perform when the sun rises again. Your brain is not just resting. It's processing. It's organizing thoughts. It's forming connections. It's solving problems in the background. That's why the greatest ideas sometimes come when you wake up, because sleep is your mind's overnight upgrade. But this doesn't mean just any sleep. It means intentional sleep, protective sleep, restorative sleep. So let me tell you what I do to sleep like a billionaire, not with luxury, but with discipline. First, I turn off devices 1 hour before bed. No phone, no emails, no social media, because your brain needs time to slow down, not to be filled with notifications and noise. Instead, I read, not business books, something calming, something meaningful. And then, I reflect, just for a few minutes. What did I learn today? What can I be grateful for? What do I want to let go of before I sleep? This clears the mental clutter. This prepares me, not just to sleep, but to recover. I also keep my sleep consistent. Same time to bed, same time to rise, even when I travel, even when I'm busy, because your body loves rhythm. And when your sleep has rhythm, your performance has power. And here's one more thing. I never carry stress into bed, because stress has a way of following you into your dreams. If I've had a hard day, I remind myself, tomorrow is a new page. I've done what I could today. Now, it's time to rest. It's not about ignoring your problems. It's about respecting your limits. Because burnout doesn't make you a hero. It makes you a hazard to yourself and to others. Some people say, Jack, I'll rest when I'm successful. But I tell them, you'll only be successful if you learn how to rest. And here's the truth, you don't need to sleep 10 hours. But you do need quality, deep sleep, restorative sleep. The kind of sleep where your body recovers and your mind resets. Because no matter how good your strategy is, if your brain is tired, it won't execute. No matter how big your dreams are, if your body is broken, it won't chase them. And no matter how clear your vision is, if your energy is empty, it won't come alive. That's why I sleep like a billionaire. Not because I have money, but because I value energy more than ego. Because success is not just about what you build. It's about how long you can sustain it. And the people who last, the people who lead, the people who rise and stay at the top, they rest. They recover, they respect their limits. So tonight, ask yourself, Am I sleeping like someone who respects their dream? Or am I exhausting myself and calling it ambition? Because success does not come to the one who never sleeps. It comes to the one who knows when to stop, when to breathe, when to reset. And when you wake up rested, you don't just feel better. You perform better. You lead better. You live better. So sleep not like a machine, not like a victim of hustle culture, but like a visionary, like someone who knows their mind is their greatest tool. And that tool must be sharpened in silence. Build a day, build a life, so now you've heard it all. Not a magic formula, not a billionaire's secret code, just a day, structured with intention. A daily routine that is simple but not easy. Because success is not about doing more. It's about doing the right things again and again. Wake up with awareness. Spend a few quiet minutes with yourself. Then feed your mind. Read, reflect, recharge. Don't chase 100 tasks. Chase 3 wins. Big wins, meaningful outcomes. Then work. Without noise. Without excuses, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. A say. To distractions. Say no. To energy leak. Say no. To the things that pull you away from your mission. End your day not with regret, but with reflection. Honor what you did well. Learn from what you didn't. And carry that wisdom into tomorrow. And finally, rest, not just because you're tired, but because your dreams deserve a sharp, strong, rested mind. Sleep like someone who knows tomorrow is another chance to become better. You see, you don't build a successful life overnight. You build it one day at a time, and when you stack the right days, over months, over years, you look back and realize you didn't just change your routine. You changed your reality. So don't underestimate the power of single day, because a focused day becomes a focused life. And a focused life, that's where real success begins. Start tomorrow like it matters. Because it does, every small action, every clear decision, every silent moment, they all matter. That's how I did it. That's how you can do it too. Not by being the best in the world, but by being the best in your world. Every single day,